Hello friends, welcome back to another episode of Movies and Melodies. Before I begin the episode, I would like to request you all once again to subscribe to my channel and spread the word amongst your friends and family as well. Today is another biography and one of my absolute favorite actors of all time, Waheeda Rehman. She was grace personified whether she was dancing or not. Absolutely beautiful, very talented, incredibly charismatic, and very, very expressive when she emoted for her songs. Probably India's best actor, I think, of all time, though Nutan's fans will probably come after me for saying this, but again, it's my opinion. My show, my opinion. She was born Feb 3rd, 1938 in Chingalpet, which is in Tamil Nadu, close to Chennai. Her father was a commissioner, Muhammad Abdur Rahman. He actually came from a very wealthy zamindar family in Tamil Nadu. He was, however, very idealistic and did not enjoy living off of the very hardworking and poor peasants. So he broke away from his family and studied, did his IAS and became a commissioner. Her mother, Mumtaz Begum, was not formally educated, but a very progressive, forward-thinking lady. Waheeda ji was the youngest of 4 daughters. And there was a fair amount of age difference between her 2 older sisters and the 2 younger sisters. So she was very close to the sister who was just immediately before her, Saida. Waheeda ji was kind of a sickly child, apparently. She had asthma as a child. But she was always very interested in, being on stage, performing for an audience and so on. And she was also very interested in dancing. So at a very young age, she managed to persuade a local Bharatnatyam dance guru to take her on as his student. So she and her sister both learned Bharatnatyam from him. When she was 13, her father very unexpectedly passed away. Now, since her mother was not formally educated, she couldn't work outside the home. So money was an issue. Her 2 older sisters were already married by this time. So she and her sister Saida, they both performed dance, like Bharatnatyam dance performances, and that's how they earned some money for the house. But this was not quite enough. In the meanwhile, a Telugu movie producer who had watched her dancing at one of her performances offered her a small role for a song where she was supposed to dance and, sing for this particular sort of an item number, if you will, but not a cabaret or anything. It was just set in a rural kind of a setting. It's a village folk dance. Her mother was very hesitant about this, but the producer and some close family friends managed to convince her mother that this was not going to be some, vulgar kind of a thing, and it would actually help them financially. So Waheeda ji acted in this. This movie was called Rojulu Marai, and A&R and Saukar Janaki, I think, were in the lead. This movie was an enormous hit, and Waheeda ji's dance was very, very much appreciated and acclaimed. So she became a hit overnight once this movie was released. She acted in another Telugu movie, a slightly larger part this time, that of a princess. And Rojulu Marai was remade in Tamil, so she acted in that as well, the same role that she had done in the original. And she acted in another Tamil movie called Ali Babavum Naapathu Thirurargalum. And by this time, her fame was sort of really growing, especially in Andhra, because it was a Telugu movie. And this led to her incredible entry into Bollywood. But for the first song, I would like to share the song from Rojulu Marai. The music was by Master Venu, and the lyrics were written by Kosaraju. The person who sang the song was Jikki. Yeravaka Sagaro Ranno Chinnanna.
Kalla kapatam kanani vada, lokam gopana teliyani vada. Kalla kapatam kanani vada, lokam gopana teliyani vada. Yeruvaka sagaro ranno chinnanna, ఇల్లు గర్రను చేత పట్టుకొని ఇల్లాలను నీ వెంట పెట్టుకొని ఏరువాక సాగారో రన్నో చిన్నన్న నీ కష్టమంతా తీరును రన్నో చిన్నన్న.
Gurudat ji was visiting Hyderabad. He was actually meeting with a distributor there. When he was in this man's office, he heard this huge commotion outside. So he was talking to the distributor and he's like, what's going on? And the guy said, well, you know, this movie was released just recently. It's called Rojurumarai, and there's this girl who, you know, performed this dance, and she's become extremely popular. She speaks very well to the crowds and stuff, so they use her for a lot of these promotions. So Gurudat ji was very impressed, and he was like, oh, who is this girl? What's her name? And so on. And they said, Waheeda Rehman. And he was very taken aback because Telugu movie is a very Muslim sounding name. What's going on? So he inquired about her and said, does she speak Urdu? And Waheeda ji was actually very fluent in Urdu because her mother spoke very good Urdu. So they said, yes, she speaks Urdu, she speaks Telugu, she speaks Tamil also because she's a Tamilian. And Gurudat ji was extremely impressed by this young girl. So he took her contact details and then he left. The producer, the distributor did not say anything to Waheeda ji or her mother about this whole, encounter. A few months later, by now Waheeda ji and her mother were living in Madras. And they received a message. A producer came up to them and he said, hey, look, Gurudat ji, who is a huge filmmaker in Bollywood, he wants to meet with you. You both need to come to Bombay and audition with him for a movie contract maybe. And these people they were not really movie watchers. And even after she acted in this Telugu movie, in the Tamil movies and everything, she was not, like quite a movie fan as such, where she watched a lot of movies. So they were very hesitant, both she and her mother. They were like, who is this man? We don't know anyone in Bombay, and Bombay, the big bad city kind of a thing. They were very hesitant. But some of their close friends and the producer himself said, no, this is a very good opportunity. Gurudat ji is a very decent person. I can vouch for his character. You should go and check it out. So they both did. And they met with Gurudat ji. She, auditioned and so on. And he loved how she looked on screen and how she emoted. So he gave her a 3-year contract. Now, Waheeda ji, even though she was very young, maybe mid to late teens at this point, 16, 17-ish, she was a very confident young woman. And she also was not overawed because she had no idea who he was. Even at that point, she didn't quite realize how big he was in the film industry. So she was not intimidated by him. So when she read the contract, she said, I need to add 2 things. One, I'm not changing my name. My parents have given me a very nice name. I'm very proud of it. There's nothing to be ashamed of my name, so I'm not changing it from Waheeda Rehman. They tried to tell her it was too long, and she was like, no, not having it. And the second contract was that she would not wear anything that she was not comfortable wearing. So even, if they could convince her that the role really required it or whatever, then maybe. But otherwise, no, she had to have sort of first refusal at whatever she was going to wear. Raj Khosla, who was Gurudat ji's assistant, was outraged. He's like, who is this sort of chit of a girl to come here, dictate terms to Gurudat of all people? This is nonsense. He's like, you know what? Just say no, she's not going to do this, and you don't take her at all. Who cares? But Gurudat ji really liked her, admired her for her courage, and agreed to all of her clauses. And she signed on with Gurudat Films, and it was not an exclusive contract. So she was free to act, outside of Gurudat Studios. For my next song, I'd like to share it from her first Hindi movie, CID. This came out in 1956, and it had Devanand and Shakila in the lead. And Waheeda ji had this negative role. She was the vamp. And what a charming vamp she made. She could look seductive and yet so innocent and sweet, not kind of a creepy vamp. So she sings this song to kind of entice the villain away from the hero, because now she's already changed her heart and she's going to help the hero. Shamshad Begum has sung this song. It's O.P. Nair's music with Majroo Saab's lyrics for the song. Kahin pe nigahein, kahin pe nishana.
कहीं पे निगाहें कहीं पे निशाना कहीं पे निगाहें कहीं पे निशाना जीने दो जालिम बनाओ ना दीवाना कहीं पे निगाहें कहीं पे निशाना कहीं पे निगाहें कहीं पे निशाना कोई न जाने इरादे हैं किधर के कोई न जाने इरादे हैं किधर के मार न देना तीर नजर का किसी के जिगर पे मार न देना तीर नजर का किसी के जिगर पे नाजुक ये दिल है बचाना ओ बचाना कहीं पे निगाहें कहीं पे निशाना कहीं पे निगाहें कहीं पे निशाना
After the release of CID, the next film that she acted in was Pyasa. It was Gurudutt ji's magnum opus. My personal opinion, his best movie, though he always felt Kagaz Ke Phool was his better movie than Pyasa. But, you know, that's his. It's also autobiographical for him, Kagaz Ke Phool. So maybe he was more attached to that. Pyasa was a huge, huge hit. It was, I would like to say it was absolutely flawless, the way the movie was made. The cinematography, the story, the dialogues, the direction, the music, everything was absolutely fantastic. And she acts as this young prostitute, Gulabo, who falls in love with the disillusioned poet Vijay, who's the hero, played by Gurudutt ji himself. The first time you see her on screen is for the song Jaane Kya Tune Kahi, sung by Geeta Dutt. She is absolutely enchanting. Her task is to lure the hero up to her kotha. And she does this so beautifully. She's absolutely delightful. Though her dialogue delivery at that time was not very polished, and she never felt comfortable delivering her dialogues at that point as well. She felt she spoke too fast and, you know, things like that. But she still manages to, that whole rough and ready kind of dialogue delivery actually fits in with the character that she plays in the movie. After Pyasa, she received a ton of other offers with all the top heroes in Bollywood. It was kind of a very heady phase in her career. Unfortunately for her, a huge tragedy hit her at this point. Her mother died very suddenly. This affected her extremely badly, and she was quite traumatized and depressed for a while. But being the strong character that she was, she moved on and immersed herself in her work. Her sister Saida, who was married by now, actually moved from Vijayawada and came and stayed with her in Bombay. And so this way she had her sisters supporting her. Oldest sister also came and stayed with her for some time. And, you know, this way her family was quite a close-knit family, and they all kind of rallied around the youngest sister. The next song that I'd like to share is from Sahabibi Aur Ghulam. What a fantastic movie. It was beautifully made. And the story is that of zamindars in West Bengal and the incredibly decadent lifestyle. One would almost say debauched lifestyle. And the story shows how this one particular zamindar family, you know, with immense wealth, their attitude toward everybody around them, including their wives, is just absolutely hideous. And this whole attitude basically leads to their downfall. So the Sahib is played by Rehman Saab incredibly beautifully. I mean, he is so callous. It's amazing how he played that role with, you know, you just loathe him. And the Bibi was, of course, Meena Kumari, and the Ghulam played by Gurudutt ji himself. The love interest for the Ghulam is played by Waheeda ji, the young, very feisty girl, Jabba. So the song that I want you to listen to is picturized on Jabba, and it's a very cute sequence. She's actually sitting down and trying to compose a song, and she's sort of singing along with it. Asha ji has done a phenomenal job singing it. It's Hemant Kumar's music with Shakil Badayuni's lyrics, Bhavra Bada Nadan.
भंवरा बड़ा नादान है, बगियन का मेहमान है, फिर भी जाने ना कलियन की मुस्कान है, भंवरा बड़ा नादान। कुछ बोले ना, वो मुख दे के कुछ बोले ना, भंवरा बड़ा नादान है।
Waheeda ji acted in a variety of roles, and roles that normally were not chosen by other heroines. She had an incredible range in her acting, and even roles like that of Rosie in Guide or Gulabo in Pyasa, for example, people were not very willing to take on these kinds of roles, especially the one in Guide, because she's playing a married woman who abandons her husband. Well, not quite abandons. He basically abandons her, and she just walks out on the marriage and goes and lives with Raju Guide. Incredibly kind of a radical role for the mid-60s. She won the Best Actress Award at the International Film Festival in Chicago for the English version of Guide. No other heroine, no other actor actually has won an international award for their role in an Indian movie. She also acted as this nurse in a psychiatric facility in Khamoshi. Again, a very unusual role, where she's portraying this woman who is slowly unraveling. Her psyche is kind of breaking down because she can't handle this whole radical kind of therapy that the psychiatrist is recommending, and she sort of has to play her part in this. I'm not going to talk about Guide or Pyasa or share any songs from that right now, because I think both of those movies are one of a kind of movies that need a whole episode devoted to them alone. So for my next song, I want to share a song from a movie called Mujhe Jeene Do. This was about dacoit reform. Sunil Dutt, Waheeda ji in the lead. He of course plays a daku, and he's very unapologetic about the role that he's playing, the looting and killing of people and such, until he falls in love. He sees this dancer at this event where he's gone to basically raid and steal jewelry and stuff from. He falls in love with her, he kidnaps her. She is initially traumatized by this whole event, but eventually ends up falling in love with him and marries him. His reform starts at that point when she is expecting a baby. So at this point he realizes that his child and his wife are both going to be very seriously affected in society because of what he does. And he decides that he wants to reform and get rehabilitated in society. Movie was very well made. The music for the movie was Jayadev Saab with Sahir Saab's lyrics. And this song, it's a very cute song. The lyrics are all, where this woman is pleading with her lover not to go away from her to the city. So she keeps setting these limits for him. And Waheeda ji, my God, she's so effortless in this emoting and pleading and all of these, and this hint of naughtiness as well. Nadi Nare Na Jao Sham Paiya Padu, with Asha ji singing for her.
नदी नारे न जाओ शाम पैया परूं नदी नारे न जाओ शाम पैया परूं पैया परूं शाम पैया परूं पैया परूं शाम पैया परूं नदी नारे न जाओ शाम पैया परूं नदी नारे जो जाओ तो जब करो नदी नारे जो जाओ तो नदी नारे है नदी नारे शाम नदी नारे जो जाओ तो जब करो बिच धारे ना बिच धारे न जाओ शाम पैया परूं बिच धारे न जाओ शाम पैया परूं बिच धारे न जाओ शाम पैया परूं तोरे पैया परूं बिच धारे न जाओ शाम पैया परूं.
Waheeda ji was extremely busy with her career, didn't find much time to, have a romance with anyone. But this didn't mean people were not in love with her. Shashi Rekhi, whose screen name was Kawaljit, was one of her co-stars. She acted with him in a movie called Shagun. And then he acted in a couple of other movies, realized he was not cut out for movies, and he came away to Canada and started a business here. He was here for a few years, then he went back to India in the early 70s and met Waheeda ji again, and at this point decided to declare his love for her, and he proposed marriage to her. And she discovered that yes, she liked him a lot too, and that she wanted to marry him, and in April of 74, they both got married. After she got married, probably a few months or so after she got married, they decided that they'd move down to Bangalore. And she started a dairy farm there, and she also manufactured breakfast cereals and tried all kinds of different things. They have 2 children, a son called Sohail and a daughter called Kashvi. Interestingly enough, both names mean the same thing. Sohail in Arabic means shining star, and Kashvi in Sanskrit means a beautiful star. She was very content raising her children and living in Bangalore away from the movies. I think she did a few character roles, the mother, which seems to be the inevitable fate of all Indian female actors after they hit 30 or they get married, depending on which happens first. Ridiculous, but anyway, there it is. For my next song, I would like to share a song from Teesri Kasam. This was the poet Shailendra ji's passion project. He started this movie in the early 60s, finally released in 1966. Unfortunately, was declared a flop, even though it received incredibly amazing critical reviews. This whole experience really broke that poor man, and he died in December of 66 at the incredibly young age of 42. After he died, as is the case all the time, the movie became a cult success. And as of now, the movie made a lot of money. Go figure. But in this movie, the story is very interesting. It's actually a short story by a very famous Hindi writer, Praneshwar Nath Renu. It was called Mare Gaye Gul Farm. There is a cart driver in the village, Hiraman, and he has this sort of strange habit of making these vows. So he has a bad experience with something and he makes a vow of never ever doing that or talking to that person or dealing with these kinds of people and so on. So the third vow that he makes is that he'll never ever carry any dancing women or female actors in his cart. The woman he falls in love with is an actor in one of these Nautanki kind of groups, and she ends up breaking his heart, mainly because she realizes that that's a better thing to do than ruin his life by marrying him. And that role is played by Waheeda ji. So there's a song that she dances on stage, and oh my God, she is so good in that role. Asha ji has sung the song, Shankar Jaikishan's music, Hasrat Jaipuri, Shailendra ji, and one song was by Majroo Saab, so a lot of lyricists as well. This particular song was written by Shailendra ji. Paan khaye saiya hamaro.
पान खाए सैया हमारो सांवली सूरतिया होठ लाल लाल हाय हाय मलमल का कुर्ता मलमल के कुर्ते पे छींट लाल लाल पान खाए सैया हमारो हमने मंगाई सुर में दानी ले आया जालिम बनारस का जरदा हमने मंगाई सुर में दानी ले आया जालिम बनारस का जरदा अपनी ही दुनिया में खोया रहे वो हमरे दिल की न पूछे बेदर्दा पान खाए सैया हमारो सांवली सूरतिया होठ लाल लाल हाय हाय मलमल का कुर्ता मलमल के कुर्ते पे छींट लाल लाल पान खाए सैया हमारो.
As I said, Waheeda ji transitioned into character roles, 80s and 90s, and she never seemed to resent that fact either. Even those roles were always interesting, exceptional roles, not the traditional weepy, self-pitying mother type roles. You know, she always acted in very interesting mother type roles. If you haven't seen Trishul, I would recommend that highly. She was very happy in her personal life with her husband. The two of them had a great relationship, were very, very happy together. He passed away sadly in November of 2000. She continues to keep herself busy. She travels a lot with all of her friends. She's an exceptional wildlife photographer. She snorkels. She's apparently now looking at learning how to scuba dive at 85. Amazing. So for my last song for today's episode, I want to share one from Reshma or Shera. She won the National Award for this movie for Best Actress. She's won a lot of awards in her life, but this particular movie was really remarkable. It came out in the early 70s. The movie was about these feuding families in these desert lands in Rajasthan. It's a very kind of a based on true happenings, and these sort of things continue even today. Nobody knows why the feuds are happening, but they're continuing these for generations. There's sort of a Romeo and Juliet-esque twist to the story as well, and you know, finally the lead pair, the love for each other essentially ends the feud, though after much bloodshed and much heartache. The music for this movie was by Jaydev Saab, and the lyrics actually were by Uddhav Kumar and Balkavi Bairagi. This particular song was written by Uddhav Kumar, Lata ji's absolutely fabulous voice, एक मीठी सी चुभन.
आज पवन में पाऊं एक मीठी सी चुभन, एक ठंडी सी अगन. मैं आज पवन में पाऊं, मन ही मन में नाच रही हूँ. मन ही मन में नाच रही हूँ, मन ही मन मुस्काऊं, क्योंकि मीठी मीठी सी चुभन, ठंडी ठंडी सी अगन मैं आज पवन में पाऊं. जाग उठा है प्यार, झूमे सब संसार. जाग उठा है प्यार, झूमे सब संसार. अंगड़ाई लेते हैं सपने, अंगड़ाई लेते हैं सपने, धर के रूप हजार. नाच उठा है प्यार, आज मेरा झूम रहा संसार, आज मेरा झूम रहा संसार. मन का आंगन जो सोना था, मन का आंगन जो सोना था, आई है उसमें बहार. कंगना पायल कंगनवा खन के, पायल छमके, लट उलझी सुलझाऊं, शरणाऊं, मुस्काऊं, क्योंकि मीठी मीठी सी चुभन, एक ठंडी सी अगन मैं आज पवन में पाऊं, आज पवन में पाऊं.
That's it for today, folks. And again, I'd like to remind you to subscribe to my channel and spread the word as well among your friends and family. I will be back in 2 weeks. Until then, remember, music is food for the soul. Keep listening.